Okay, hi guys, welcome back. Another team meeting. So, from a meeting perspective, um, I think that a quick review of what we want to cover. We want to cover off predominantly, we want to walk through the sprint review items. That's everything from the backlog, the planning, the sprint activities that we've delivered, and maybe we'll cover off one of the user stories. And then I think we come back as a group and we talk through in the retrospective some of the challenges that we've had during sprint one and perhaps some opportunities for improvement. Just have a quick recap of the project itself. Now, as we know, it's the Deakin University website redesign. And just to recap, the key objectives of this is to obviously improve the site functionality and its usability overall, making sure that we surface relevant and timely content, whether that be news or whether that be unit information. And of course, making sure that we meet the needs of the key stakeholders, that being the actual students, the faculty, staff, and the teaching staff. From a logistics perspective, clearly we're a remotely located team, and we've been using Microsoft Teams predominantly through chat and video conferencing meetings. We've been using the Trello board for our planning activities and GitHub for our code version control. In terms of the project roles and responsibilities, obviously myself taking the role of Scrum Master and Team Lead. James is our product owner who um, dictates and finesses a lot of our project requirements from a product perspective. He also handles all the front end development, and Ralph has taken care of a lot of the UX designs and ensuring that we design for usability and design elements. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump into it, and what we might do is we might flick to Ralph and if you can take care of just talking through the sprint backlog on the Trello board, sprint planning, and then we'll flick to James who can talk through some of the sprint deliverables that we've actually delivered for this sprint one, maybe a user story, happy to handle that one myself, and then we'll come back.
So basically, yeah, we have done through this quite a bit for the sprint planning, and we have a sprint 2 planning to be done in the backlog. And for the sprint 1, we came across with this sprint planning task. So in the sprint planning, we ensure that we detail the sprint activities and also come up with the feature to be investigated and implement, and then also do the task allocation to each team member and develop the user story, allocate the story points. And what we can do for our according to our sprint 1, we can know our total velocity we complete in the sprint 1. We will do that planning in the sprint 2 accordingly. Yeah, and I will pass on to James to carry on the sprint deliverable and the activities.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Ralph. I'll share my screen and we can have a look at our GitHub repo and what we've been developing in Sprint 1.
Cool.
All right.
Yep. Excellent. It's come through. Great.
Perfect. That's great. So we're currently looking at our GitHub repo that was originally forked from the, I guess, baseline or the Deakin unit page main. To have a really quick look at what changes we've made since Sprint 1, we can jump into our comparing changes view and have a look at some of the most recent commits that we've done. So you can see throughout Sprint 1, we've added the header color and changed the other CSS properties. Thank you, Ralph. Adam has added the disclaimer and resolved any conflicts. I've done my add table as well, which you can see here as well. So if we have a look further down, we can actually look at the code itself and see from the original version of the code what we've changed. So this is our index.html page. And as mentioned in the previous commit messages, we've added our logo, we've added our style sheet, and we've also added the headings, paragraphs, and the table as well, which I added one of the earlier commits. We can see the logo image has been added, which wasn't there before. We can also see within our CSS, the main changes you'll see down the bottom here, where we've added some properties to the div, as well as styling the table header, as well as looking at the background color as well. To original repo, you can see the different branches as well that we've created throughout this process of sprint 1, and that we've merged it back to the main. Excellent. I think that's all, Adam, for the GitHub repo, unless there's anything else you want me to go through in this sprint session.
Excellent. I think it's probably worth going through maybe one of the user stories. Just we have got 3, one for the student, for the teaching faculty, and the teachers and their faculty as well, staff. So I think for the students is probably the most pertinent one that we've focused on during sprint 1. And if we look at the user story itself for the student, as a Deakin student, obviously, I want to be able to access both the generic course material as well as specific student academic records. So a combination of both generic material about the course, about the subjects, as well as specific academic material that's relevant to myself. And why do I want to access it? Well, I want to access it so that I can make informed decisions about my university course enrollment and my course progression. So that is our user story, and being a student, as we're all students of Deakin University, it makes a lot of sense and needs to be pretty important for the website to deliver on those user stories. So from a feature perspective, we want to be able to obviously access the generic information, as I mentioned. We also want to be able to perform search functions on that information, as well as specific unit information relevant to my course. But a lot of students want to be kept up to date with what's going on at Deakin. News articles may not be relevant, may also be relevant, and notifications. Set your own notifications on what you do want to see in those feeds. Student course enrollment information is obviously clearly important, as well as your academic records and your progression throughout the course. So these features here, we've obviously, as James has taken us through, we've signed off a lot of these in sprint 1, not all of them. Some of the more complex search features, as Ralph mentioned before, they are in the backlog and they will be handled in sprint 2. Just open it up for a general discussion, a retrospective, just about how people thought sprint 1 went and whether there were challenges and other opportunities for further improvement. So I guess I'll just open it up to the team.
Thanks, Adam. I think from my perspective, obviously we're all working remotely and we don't congregate at the Deakin Bearwood campus or anything like that. So a key challenge we would have faced in this sprint, or we did face, was communicating with each other and finding time so we could work together, solve any issues that we might come across, emerging conflicts or things like that. So I think we rose to the challenge and we did a good job in this sprint of getting everything done we needed to. But definitely a consideration for sprint 2 is maybe we need to have a regular cadence in a time that fits for all of us, because we all have other work commitments as well. So I think it was a challenge of a sprint, but I did think it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I concur. I think from my perspective, I think work commitments, outside commitments of university, it does make it definitely challenging. And I think we all didn't know each other at the start of this project as well. So moving into sprint 2 and beyond, it makes it a lot easier because we start to develop those relationships. I don't know. What about you, Ralph?
Yeah, I think it's pretty. Although there are some improvement within our team, but I think it's a pretty good sprint, and I think it's a pretty good indicator because obviously the first sprint for the new team is a forming stage, right? And obviously we do face some challenges, like especially the time communications. Like it's very hard to find the right common communication time for us to catch up as a team, because each of us I think all of us are working full time at the moment, so that's make it a bit harder to juggle between the university schedule. But I think the learning from this sprint, we can do better in the next sprint. I think according to we are better to communicate better, and then we know what to plan for the next task. Yeah.
But anyone else got any other final comments?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for running the session, Adam.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, guys. All right, we'll close off the meeting. I can stop the recording and we can get ready for sprint 2. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.